Hello children! Today we want to go into more detail about our clock of errors. You know, it's a 12-hour clock, but it's not just a 12-hour clock as we know it. Each hour lasted for millions of years. So now we're going to go into more detail about our clock of errors to understand how each era lasted and how long they lasted for and what exactly it means. So this is our clock of errors. The chart represents the entire history of the earth from the time it was a mass of gases to the appearance of man. The chart shows a special clock, this is our special clock, divided into 12 hours to illustrate this history. Instead of 60 minutes, you know, a normal clock will have 60 minutes round. No, so this is not 60 minutes. Each hour of the clock, so from 12 to 1, which is 1 hour, represents 375 million years. So 12 hours on this clock, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours represents how many? Can you do that calculation? If 1 hour represents 375 million years, how many years will 12 hours represent? Have you come up with an answer? Well, this clock represents 4.5 billion years. This is the age of the earth. 4.5 billion years. So let's go into more detail to understand how long each era lasted. Now, our first era on the clock of errors lasted for how many hours? Let's count. From 12 to 1, 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. And if we say that each hour lasted for 375 million years, it means this era, which was called the Azoic era, lasted for 1 billion years. Now, during this time, the Earth's crust was being formed. There was no life at all. That is why it is called the Azoic era, which means without life. That is why it's in black. It lasted for 1 billion years and there was no life, the Azoic era. Now our next era, which is in yellow, oh, it looks quite long. Let's count how many hours it is, starting from 4. That's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. So this era, called the Archaic era, lasted for 6 hours, which is the longest on our clock of errors, and 6 hours means 1.5 billion years. From this era, we only have few fossils to show that there was life, but all the life was in the sea. This era is also called the era of the beginning. That's why it's in color yellow, because you know, when the sun shines early in the morning, it's yellow. So we have the Archaic era presented in yellow, which lasted for 6 hours, but not just 6 hours, but 1.5 billion years. We've been able to account for 6 hours on our clock of errors. What about the remaining eras and the remaining hours on our clock of errors? Well, the 3 remaining era combined lasted only 1 hour, 30 minutes. That is this 1, 2, 3, that's the Paleozoic era, the Mesozoic era, the Cenozoic era. They lasted for 1 hour and 30 minutes, or 570 million years. You see, the orange part or the brown part of our chart lasted for 345 million years. That is the Mesozoic era. The gray era, which is the Cenozoic era, lasted for 160 million years, and it tells of the animals in between. The red part of our clock of errors, which is very tiny, lasted for 65 million years and tells of the more recent animals, including the history of man. Man appeared on the earth during the last 20 seconds on the clock. So man's time had the shortest time out of all the eras, the Neozoic era. It lasted for just 65 million years, and it tells of the coming of man.